You think a hug is just a hug. Two people leaning in, arms wrapping around each other for a few seconds, and then stepping away like nothing happened. But here's the truth most men never realize. A hug is one of the most emotionally revealing moments between two people. In those few quiet seconds, a woman can feel your confidence, your energy, even the truth about how you see yourself. And the way you respond to that hug can either make you instantly forgettable or leave her thinking about you long after you've walked away. Because a hug is not just physical contact. It's a silent conversation, a moment where emotions speak louder than words. And if you understand the Stoic secret behind it, the psychology hidden inside that simple gesture, you can turn an ordinary hug into something that lingers in her mind for hours, even days. Welcome to Female Code Unlocked, a place where we decode the hidden psychology behind attraction, connection, and emotional influence. If you want to understand the subtle signals women respond to, the ones most men completely miss, make sure you subscribe and join this journey into the deeper side of human behavior. Now imagine this moment. You see her after a while. Maybe it's at a gathering, maybe you run into each other unexpectedly, or maybe she walks up to you with that warm smile that says she's genuinely happy to see you. She opens her arms for a hug. Most men rush the moment. They lean in quickly, pat her back awkwardly, and pull away as if they're afraid to stay there too long. The hug becomes mechanical, empty, forgettable. And in her mind, something subtle happens. She feels the lack of presence. But a man who understands emotional gravity does something different. When she hugs you, you don't rush. You pause for half a second before responding. Not in an awkward way, but in a calm, grounded way, like a man who is fully aware of the moment. Like someone who isn't desperate for approval and isn't uncomfortable with closeness either. That half-second pause creates something powerful. It signals emotional control. Psychologically, that pause tells her you are not reacting automatically. You're choosing the moment, not chasing it. And when you finally lean in and return the hug, you don't squeeze too tight and you don't keep it distant either. Your hug feels steady, warm, but composed. Think about the difference between a wave hitting the shore in chaos and the slow pull of the ocean tide. One feels scattered. The other feels powerful. Your hug should feel like the tide. Because women are incredibly sensitive to emotional energy in physical moments like this. Even if she never consciously thinks about it, her mind is quietly registering signals. Is this man nervous? Is he trying too hard? Or does he feel calm, grounded, present? Now here's where the Stoic secret begins to work. Most men pull away from the hug the moment the physical contact ends. But the men who stay on her mind understand the power of the moment after. When the hug ends, you don't instantly break eye contact and step away like you're escaping the moment. Instead, you take half a step back, look at her for a brief second, and allow a small, genuine smile. Not a forced grin. Just the kind of smile that says you enjoyed the moment, without needing to explain it. That tiny pause after the hug does something fascinating in her psychology. It creates emotional echo. Just like the last note of a song lingering in the air, that moment makes the interaction feel deeper than it actually was. And suddenly, what should have been a simple greeting becomes something she replays later in her mind. Because here's the truth about attraction most people never talk about. It's not the big gestures that stay in someone's memory. It's the quiet emotional moments, the subtle signals, the things that felt different without her fully understanding why. And the way you respond to a hug can become one of those moments. Something interesting happens in a woman's mind after an interaction like that. It's subtle, almost invisible, but powerful. Her brain starts searching for meaning in the moment you just shared. Why did that hug feel calmer? Why did it feel warmer? Why did it feel like you were completely present instead of just going through the motions like everyone else? Most men underestimate how deeply women read emotional cues. She might laugh with friends later, continue the conversation, move on with her day, but somewhere in the background of her thoughts, that moment sits quietly. Because when a man responds to a hug with emotional control instead of nervous energy, he creates contrast. And contrast is what the human mind remembers. Think about it. She probably hugs dozens of people every month. friends, coworkers, acquaintances. Most of those hugs blur together in her memory like background noise. Quick arms around the shoulders, awkward back pats, rushed goodbyes. Nothing memorable. But when someone breaks that pattern, even slightly, the mind takes notice. The Stoic secret is not about doing something dramatic. It's about doing something intentional. When she hugs you and you hold the moment calmly, when your body language says, "I'm comfortable here," it creates a feeling of emotional safety mixed with curiosity. That combination is powerful because attraction rarely comes from loud effort. It comes from quiet confidence. Now imagine another moment. You and her hug again sometime later, maybe at the end of a conversation this time. The energy is slightly different. There's already familiarity now. This is where most men make the biggest mistake. They try too hard to make the moment special. They squeeze tighter. They linger awkwardly. They turn it into something overly romantic or intense. And instantly, the natural magic disappears. Why? Because pressure kills emotional mystery. The Stoic approach works differently. When she hugs you again, you stay consistent, calm, grounded. Your hug still feels warm, but never needy. It's like a quiet rhythm she begins to recognize. And psychologically, something fascinating happens when people experience consistent emotional signals. Their brain starts associating those signals with comfort, with stability, with a sense of grounded presence. You become the person whose energy feels different. And this is where another small detail becomes incredibly powerful. When the hug ends, most men either step back immediately or start talking nervously to fill the silence. But silence, when used correctly, is magnetic. After the hug, you hold eye contact for just a moment longer than usual. Not in an intense or intimidating way, but in a calm, relaxed way. Like someone who isn't rushing to the next moment. That extra second allows emotional tension to exist. And tension is what creates memory. It's like the pause in a great movie scene right before something meaningful happens. The audience leans in because the silence carries weight. Human interactions work the same way. That quiet second tells her something without words. You're comfortable with connection, but you're not dependent on it. You're present, but you're not chasing validation. And that combination creates something women rarely experience in everyday interactions with men: emotional steadiness. Now here's the deeper psychological layer most people miss. When someone feels emotionally steady around you, their brain begins associating you with peace. Not excitement alone, not drama, but calm attraction. And calm attraction is dangerous in the best way, because it grows slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. She might not even realize why you cross her mind later that night, but your presence lingers like a quiet melody she heard earlier in the day. That's the hidden power behind responding to a hug with emotional intelligence instead of impulse. You're not trying to impress her. You're allowing the moment to breathe. And when moments breathe, they stay alive in memory. But there's one final Stoic detail that separates the men who are simply pleasant from the men women secretly replay in their minds. And it happens in the seconds after you walk away. Most men believe the moment ends when the hug ends. Arms separate, you exchange a few words, and then you walk away. In their minds, the interaction is finished. But emotionally, that's not where the real impression is made. The real impression is made in the seconds after. Because the human mind has a strange habit. It remembers the ending of an interaction more vividly than the middle. Psychologists often call this the recency effect. The final emotional note becomes the one that echoes in memory. So when you walk away after a hug, the way you carry yourself matters more than you think. Most men make the mistake of turning back too quickly. They check if she's watching. They linger awkwardly. Or they try to keep the moment alive by forcing extra conversation. And without realizing it, they dilute the emotional weight of the moment. But the Stoic secret works differently. When the hug ends, when that brief eye contact passes between you, you simply continue with your presence intact. Calm, relaxed, grounded. You don't rush away, but you also don't cling to the moment. You move forward with the quiet certainty of someone who doesn't need to squeeze meaning out of every interaction. And strangely enough, that's exactly what gives the moment meaning. Because when you walk away without looking back for validation, you send a silent message most people never learn to communicate. I enjoyed the moment, but I don't need to hold on to it. That kind of emotional independence is incredibly rare. And rarity creates curiosity. Later that day, or maybe even later that night, her mind may wander back to that interaction. Not because you said something extraordinary, not because the hug lasted longer than usual, but because the energy felt different, calmer, more intentional. It's like hearing a quiet song in the distance while walking through a busy street. Everything else is loud, chaotic, forgettable. But that one sound stays with you. Your presence becomes that quiet signal in her mind. And here's the fascinating part of female psychology. Women often remember how a man made them feel more clearly than what he actually said. Your words during that interaction may fade quickly, but the emotional atmosphere you created, the calm energy, the quiet confidence, those sensations leave a deeper imprint. And that imprint slowly shapes perception. The next time she sees you, something will feel slightly different. She may not even realize why she feels a little more comfortable around you, a little more curious. But her mind will recognize the emotional pattern. You're not reacting like most men. You're not rushing connection, but you're also not avoiding it. You're simply present. And presence is magnetic in a world full of distraction. But there's one final truth behind all of this. Responding to a hug in this Stoic way is not about technique. It's about identity. Because when a man truly becomes calm within himself, when he's no longer seeking approval in every small interaction, his energy naturally slows down. His movements become intentional. His eye contact becomes grounded. His presence becomes something people feel, even in silence. And when a woman experiences that kind of presence during something as simple as a hug, it quietly separates you from the crowd. Not because you tried harder, but because you didn't try at all. And that's the paradox of real attraction. The less you chase the moment, the more powerful the moment becomes. So the next time a woman hugs you, don't treat it like a routine gesture. Treat it like a silent conversation. Pause. Be present. Let the moment breathe. And walk away with the quiet confidence of someone who understands that sometimes the smallest interactions carry the deepest emotional weight. If you enjoyed this deeper look into female psychology and human connection, make sure you subscribe to Female Code Unlocked for more insights like this. Because once you begin to understand the hidden emotional language behind everyday moments, you start seeing human behavior in a completely different way. And suddenly, the things most people overlook become the things that make you unforgettable. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced a simple moment that stayed in your mind long after it ended? And remember, sometimes the quietest actions create the loudest impressions.